La 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 la. Ba ba ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Hello, hello, hello. This is me testing the live stream to see that it is indeed live at the moment that I'm talking right now, immediately. Hello. Testing the audio.
Hello, hello, hello.
This is me testing the live stream to see that it is indeed live. It does seem to apparently be live. So there we are then. There's my live chat. That's all very well and good there. Very good. And then the OBS there. So this time I should actually, hopefully, be able to actually read the chat. Would be nice. Okay. And then open this here. Sorry, I should have sorted this out before the stream, but I didn't think about it because I'm rather simple in the brain. I do apologize. Here we are. Right, so I've got the chat there. But here I can see what I'm actually doing. That's nice. Okay. Good, good. Right. So hello everybody. Sorry about that longer than average intro, but I was just, working on stuff. Welcome to the January 2026 monthly update. It's been a fairly productive month for me. But not much of that has made its way onto the internet. Of course, gaming channel, as always, has been going. Although has now come to an end, but I suppose that's plans for next month, really. Things I've done this month. I've made a chessboard. Although I've actually been making it for a couple of months, but I've just finished it. I can't be bothered to go and get it for you. I've got something else here that I would need to show you, but I can't be bothered to get that chessboard to show you. I'll probably show it off in some other video at some point, because I'm quite happy with it. But, yeah, so that's that. Other things I've done. This. I've made a canvas. Some people obviously know I paint, and this is a canvas that I've made myself out of some bits of firewood and an old bed sheet. I'm quite happy with it. It's fairly neat. A bit rough around the edges, much like the person who made it, but yeah, it's got these little corner pieces here to because I've seen other canvases do that, and I presume it helps it keep its shape. Give it a bit of stability. So I'm going to be painting on that later, literally as soon as I finish this live stream. I think I'm going to start this painting because it's been quite some time since I've done any paintings. So that's that. Very little else I've done. Things in America have been going very interesting this month. I'm sure you've all been keeping up on that. People being murdered and everything. If only some people would have warned the world about Donald Trump. If only, there'd been people saying, if you elect this guy, he's gonna kill people. But no, obviously there was no one saying that. To be fair, I wasn't saying that either. I didn't think he'd be quite this bad. I thought he was an idiot, but I didn't think he was going to be, quite this bad. So I'm not giving myself any undue credit there. Reading. I've done quite a bit of reading. Now, for people who were here last time, you know that my reading goal for last year was not met. I set my reading goal to be 52 books for 2025, and I didn't make it because I'm a lazy bottom. But if we swap this over, so this is the story graph. This is a website that I use to log my reading. As you can see, 2026 reading goals is 20 books and 4,000 pages, and as you can already see, I'm already ahead by 2 books and ahead by 200 pages, which I'd say is pretty good, really. So I may, in fact, make my reading goal of last year this year. So I'm not going to change this. If I reach this goal, I will then put it further and probably put it back to 52. Because although, if I go on stats here and the statistics for this month, you see, average time to finish was 8 days, which is obviously slightly more than a week. So 1 book a week, obviously isn't my average rate. Although during summer, as I said last time, it will catch up because I will be doing a lot more. Because I've read every day this month, which it may very well be the only month I've ever done that in. If you see here, if you want to know exactly how many pages I read on any given day, you can see that. And this may very well be the first month in my life where I've read every single day. I'm not sure. Maybe when I was younger, I was quite into reading a lot when I was younger as well, but then I kind of fell out of it and now just fallen back into it. But I'm fairly certain this is the first month in my life where I've read every single day. And of course, my sort of New Year's resolution is to read every day this year, which, as you can see, I have so far been, managed to keep up with. The fact that this logs the streak, current streak 39, longest streak 39 days of reading. It says 1 page every day, but obviously that's too little for me. The fact that it logs that is a very good sort of incentive to keep reading, so I like that. But yeah, so if we just go through these, so I'll just talk about the... Should I go through... I'll do this first. So, average time to finish 8 days. The moods, mainly I've been reading adventurous and challenging books, apparently, with light-hearted, funny, and dark, each being more of a minority. Pace is 50-50, 2 fast-paced books and 2 slow-paced books. Every single book was under 300 pages. That won't always be like that. I have some longer books that I'd like to read as well, but so far they've all been under 300 pages. All of them fiction. 3 of them science fiction, and then children's, classics, and fantasy. That's all 1 book. So the 3 science fiction and that. Print 100%. All books are in English. Star ratings. I've read 4, so I've read 4 books. The average rating is 3.38 stars out of 5. And 2 of the books I've rated 3.25, and then the other 2 3.5, which is about my average. 3.5, a lot of books, because I know what books I like, so I they're usually that or higher, but between 3 and 3.5 are my average ratings. Although these 2 books that I've rated 3.25 are actually the first books I've ever given that rating. Now that I've got enough books, I can sort of judge them by each other. I've gone 3.25, which is not a rating I've ever given a book before. It's been 3 or 3.5 or others, but I've never gone this one yet. And then, as you can see, the pages, it says there. So, now the books themselves. So the first book I read, which I began reading last month, is this, Doctor Who and the Mask of Mandragora. I quite liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I gave it a 3.25, as you can see there. compared to most people's 3.37, which seems to be the average. Not that that is a rating you can give a book on this website, but obviously that's the average. Can you imagine if you had that much flexibility? You could rate things 3.37. That would make it a lot more complicated to rate things. But yes, it just, I don't know, it was good, but I think it even though it's only 123 pages, it dragged a little bit, and it just wasn't quite as interesting. It helped that although I have seen the story, I couldn't remember anything about it. So that probably helped it as a book. Obviously, I can't really compare it to the TV story because I can't remember the TV story. So I can't tell you if it changed very much or not, but I did, I quite liked it. But not the best Doctor Who book that I have ever read. But it was still pretty good. Then, Comet in Moomin Land by Tove Jansson, with Elizabeth Porch translating, apparently. Most people give this a 4.19, or 4.19 is the average. I gave it 3.5. It's very good. The first Moomin book, which was The Moomins and the Great Flood, I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. This is 3.5. My problems with that last book were it was too fast-paced and it was too short. It was only 60 pages and there were about 3 scenes on each page. It was ridiculously fast-paced. And I said even then that it kind of felt like a pilot episode. This is, if that was the pilot, this is series 1. You know what I mean? And it is definitely an improvement. Still not slow paced. I mean, it even says fast paced there, but certainly slower paced than the first book, which is an improvement. So I gave this a 3.5. I liked it. This is the book that introduces Snufkin, who is a lot of people's favourite character, and he's definitely one of my favourite characters as well. Sniff finally gets named. He was in the first book, but he was just called the little creature. He didn't get named Sniff until this book, but the illustrations clearly show that it is meant to be the same character. And this also introduces the Snork Maiden, and the Snork, obviously, and I think the Hemulin as well. So it introduces quite a few characters who weren't in the first book. But yeah, this was a good book. Now I want to read one of these a month. There's 9 books. I read one in December, one in January, and I intend to keep that up because I don't want to rush through them, and I want to have a couple to read in the summer. Because I imagine it'd be very nice reading one of these books out in the sunshine. That seems like it'd be nice. So I'm pacing myself with these because there are only 9 of them, and just doing one a month. And this is this month's one. And yeah, I give it a 3.5. Out of 5. That is Comet in Moomin Land. Next book is Doctor Who and the Sontaran Experiment by Ian Marter. Now, Ian Marter was in the television episode. Of course, he plays Harry Sullivan, who is one of my favourite companions. I think this is the best TARDIS team, in my opinion. The 4th Doctor, Sarah Jane and Harry, is my favourite TARDIS team, and this is a perfect example of why. And this was a really good book. I gave it a 3.5, which is my average for the Doctor Who books, because they're all really quite good. So most of them I have rated 3.5. I think there's one I rated 4. It wasn't one of the Target ones, it was one of the Virgin New Adventures, or Virgin Missing Adventures, which was also, coincidentally, the 4th Doctor, Sarah Jane and Harry, as well. The System Shock is what that one's called, and I gave that one a 4. Some of them I've given 3, like An Unearthly Child was a 3. The one I shared earlier was a 3.25, as you saw. But this one, 3.5, really good. It added quite a lot. It added a few scenes that I really liked. One, it added was Harry, after his... Now, this won't make sense for people who haven't seen the story, but there's the bit in it where Harry falls down a sort of crevice and escapes through a little tunnel. And in the TV story, you see him going into the tunnel, and then the next time you see him, he's out in the open again. But in this, it kind of shows his trek through that tunnel, and he has an encounter with Styre, who obviously is the Sontaran, the titular Sontaran there, Styre, a Sontaran warrior, as it says there. Interestingly enough, it's not spelt that way in the actual text of the book itself. At least I have a first edition. Now, it might have just been a misprint, but a misprint every single time the character's name comes up seems slightly odd. His name is spelled Styr. That's how they spell his name in the actual text of the book. On the back of the book, on like the blurb on the back, it's spelt Styre, normally. But it's spelt Styre without an E in the actual book itself, which, took a little bit of getting used to, because obviously it's not correct. But, there's that. So that's one scene that was added where Harry encounters Styre in the tunnels. Like, Styre doesn't see him, they don't have a confrontation, but he sees him. Harry sees Styre. It expands on the scene where Styre sort of mentally tortures Sarah Jane. There's this bit where he sort of makes her hallucinate and see a bunch of stuff, and it expands on that and makes it a lot more sort of graphic and violent in her. Obviously, nothing's literally happening to her, but it makes the images in her head much more graphic than they were on the actual screen, which was kind of one of Ian Marter's sort of trademarks as a writer. Even though this is the only book I've read of his so far, he was quite famous for pushing the boundaries of what you were allowed to do in a Doctor Who book. He included a lot more violence. He was the very first writer to include any swearing in a novel. It wasn't this one. And I don't know if any other writers did that in the target range, but he was the very first to include profanity in any of the Doctor Who books. But it wasn't this one. It was, I think, The Enemy of the World, which I haven't read yet. I don't even have it yet, so it's not an option to read it yet. But yeah, and then the final scene that I can remember being greatly expanded upon, or just included where it wasn't included in the TV story, was when, at the end, spoilers, when Harry goes into Styre's spaceship to remove a certain component that the Doctor has told him to. In the TV story, the Doctor sends Harry in to the spaceship, and then the Doctor fights Styre, and then Styre stumbles in, and then when next we see Harry is already out with the component that the Doctor has told him to remove, which is what causes everything to go wrong, and Styre then dies. In the book, and of course the reason he could expand on it this much is because the actual TV story was only a two-parter, which was very rare in the classic series. There are a few, but it's very rare for a classic story to only be 2 parts long, but this was one, and I think the best one as well. I really love this story. And he goes in, and you get to see, obviously, you get to witness in form of writing Harry going inside Styre's spaceship and seeing it from the inside, and there's like other Sontarans there who are like asleep on like standby, which is not a thing in the story. And of course in the story the ship isn't actually big enough. I think it's described as being like the kind of golf ball shape that it is in the TV story, but in the book I think it's described as being a lot bigger because it's much bigger on the inside. I wonder where they got that idea from. But I mean, there's like a maze, well, not a maze, but like a sort of multiple compartments inside that Harry has to get through, and there's room for multiple Sontarans inside. So I think definitely in the book the spaceship is meant to be a lot bigger than it is in the actual television version. Because obviously in the television version, even though you don't actually see inside the ship, it's the same prop that was used in the Time Warrior, and in the Time Warrior, it's literally just a chair. There's only room for a chair inside the actual spaceship, and a chair and a screen and some buttons. So obviously it's expanded upon in the story. And yeah, I mean there's other little changes as well, but I can't necessarily remember all of them right now. But yeah, it was just a really nice book. I really liked it. Obviously a very quick read. 127 pages. It still took me a few days to read just because I like reading things a bit at a time, but this is the kind of book where if I really wanted to, I could have read it in one day. Because I've read more pages than that in a single day before, but I'm just pacing myself at the moment. In the summer, when I'm sat out in the garden for 3 to 4 hours in the sun, I might get multiple books done a day if they're short like this. Um, but for now, I'm just taking my time with it. But yeah, so this is one of the best of the Doctor Who books. I like the ones where they expand on it, but they don't necessarily change too much. They just add to it. I still only gave it 3.5, which, as I said, is the average. But obviously, I don't give that rating on how much it expands on the story. I give that rating on how much I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it the same amount as the other books that I've given a 3.5. Um, like the Daleks and the Crusaders and the Abominable Snowmen were all 3.5 as well, because that's just how much I enjoyed it. Even though this expanded more on the story than something like the Crusaders did, I enjoyed it the same. So it still only gets a 3.5, even though it expands on it too much. I mean, not too much, you know what I mean. But yeah, so that was that. And then the final book, which I literally finished today, although I've slept since then, but I finished it this morning, about 1 o'clock in the morning, because I go to sleep at about 4 in the morning. So I finished this today. Doctor Who and the Sea Devils by Malcolm Hulke, 139 pages, and even longer than that because the words are much smaller as opposed to the Sontaran Experiment. There's more words on a page and there's more pages, so it was quite a bit longer. I only gave this one a 3.25 because I still like it, but it didn't really expand on the story in any interesting ways. I mean, obviously, it kind of compressed the story, if anything, because whereas, the Sontaran Experiment was a 2-parter stretched out to a novel, The Sea Devils is a 6-parter. It's a 6-part story, so there's very little to expand on, so it's kind of compressed. And so it didn't really add anything that much. And it's basically just a very straight adaptation. Like, there's bits of dialogue that are different than they are in the TV version, but it's really just a straight adaptation. Which, it's one of my favourite stories, The Sea Devils, the television version. But a big part of why it's my favourite is, like, the technical stuff, like the cinematography, and particularly the music. The music in The Sea Devils is some of the best in any of Doctor Who. It was the very first Doctor Who story to be scored by the... I realised that has squished. Sorry, I just need to fix this. Because it is not right. There we are. I'm sorry about that. Sorry. I just realised it. I was sort of looking there and realised it was squished because I had altered the way the screen was set up to for a video that I recorded before. I mean, it didn't change that much, but I just noticed that this was squished when obviously it's not meant to be. But yeah, as I was saying, it doesn't really expand that much on the story, so I didn't give it as much. And there's a bit in it where there's out of character, where the Doctor takes one of the guns from the Sea Devil and shoots the Sea Devil, which is obviously completely out of character for the Doctor. Not only does that not happen in the story, but it's obviously the Doctor... It seems a lot of writers occasionally forget that the Doctor is supposed to be a pacifist. Which annoys me a little bit because it's such an important part of the Doctor's character. Now, I know it happens in the show as well. Like, there's a bit in Day of the Daleks. No, is it? Yeah, in Day of the Daleks, there's a bit where the Doctor shoots an Ogron, which is more annoying to me because the TV program really should have been, more careful about such a out of character act. In the books, it's more forgivable. Still not really, because it's Malcolm Hulke, who's a major part of Doctor Who at this time, and really should have known better about having the Doctor just kill someone. But yeah, it still, despite that, I still quite enjoyed it, but definitely not my favourite of the Doctor Who books. I've only given it a 3.25, so it's still better than An Unearthly Child, which I only gave a 3 out of 5, but it's not as good as most of the it's certainly below average. The average Doctor Who book is 3.5. This is below average. But I still enjoyed it, obviously. I mean, 3 out of 5 means I enjoyed the book. If it's under 3, that's when I don't like the book. But if it's over 3 is good. 3.25 is quite good. 3.5 is rather good, and then anything above 3.5 is very good. But yeah, I liked this. And yeah, as far as books, that is it for this month. 4 books, not bad at all, I don't think. But yeah, I think that is that for now. Now we go on to things I've watched. Now, I've had a go at anime in the past, and I haven't changed my mind, because a big part of the reason I don't like anime is the art style. Big eyes, tiny pointy chin, big spiky stupid hair. And this program that I've watched, which is Neon Genesis Evangelion, which ran from 1995 to 1996, and the accompanying film, The End of Evangelion, which came out in 1997, don't really look like that. They have a little bit of that. Hello, Digby. I've got the chat up now, so I can actually reply to you immediately. You don't have to wait for 15 minutes like you did last month. Hello, Digby. I watched Neon Genesis Evangelion this month, and it was rather good. I don't know if you've seen it. I know it's a very popular one. I just saw a couple of clips of it, and I thought, that looks quite interesting, and I read up a little bit about it, and there were already some things that I knew about it, and it just sounded very interesting to me, so I watched it, and I quite liked it. I mean, I don't really have anything particular to say about it. I watched it on Internet Archive, where the whole series is, which is what those links there for are, if you want to see it. But I quite liked it. I didn't understand any of it, but I liked it. How are you? I am good, Digby. You didn't see this, so I'm going to show you this now. I showed this off earlier. I've made a canvas. Now, you may have seen me make these before, but I've made this today out of a bed sheet, which is what that is, and some just bits of firewood that I've just stapled together, and it's rough around the edges, but so am I. So I'm gonna paint on that. I'm gonna start painting on that later today. I've read 4 books, which I was just talking about. You can wind this back and watch me talking about them if you like. I'm with you. I hardly watch anime. It's not my thing. It's not, like I say, it's not really my thing either. In general, I've given a few a go, and I've not really enjoyed all of them that much. But this one was good. I liked it. I know there's more films, but they're kind of like a remake, and I don't see the need to watch a remake of it. I've just watched this one, and it was, good enough. So I don't really see any reason to watch the remake. It's practical. Well, I'm a practical person, Digby. I'm a very practical person. And then I've listened to one album. Now, you, Digby, will remember that last month I said I was hoping to listen to some Slade, and you recommended them as well. Now I did, but I only managed to listen to one album because I've been very busy this month. I've been making a lot of stuff. I've been making a chessboard, actually, a courier chessboard, which I took 2 chessboards and connected them together to make an extra wide one. Because there's an old medieval chess variant called courier chess, which was played on an 8x12, an 8x12 board. And so that's what so I haven't had much time to do anything else. So I've only managed to listen to one album, which was their first album, Beginnings from 1969, which I quite like. Now, it's mostly covers, but I liked them. I liked the covers. There's probably my favourite song on this is one where I haven't heard the original of, but it's called Knocking Nails Into My House, which I believe was by ELO. It says it's written by Jeff Lynne. I can't be bothered to look up whether it was Jeff Lynne in ELO or just Jeff Lynne solo. but it just says written by Jeff Lynne. But I liked that. That's probably my favourite song. There's a cover of a Frank Zappa song. There's Ain't Got No Heart, which is one that was by Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. I really like that. They did a cover of Martha My Dear by the Beatles, which is one of the only other Slade songs I knew. I knew they did a cover of Martha My Dear. I don't like it as much as the Beatles version. But mind you, I have probably heard the Beatles versions 100 times because it is on my favourite album, i.e. the White Album. And then they did Born to Be Wild, which I honestly prefer to the original by Steppenwolf. And I prefer this version, honestly. So yeah, there's a few other songs on it that I can't remember. But yeah, so those ones, Knocking Nails Into My House, Ain't Got No Heart, and Born to Be Wild. So yeah, it's, it's a start. I'm sure their later albums are better. I just haven't had time to listen to. I mean, I say I haven't had time. I could have made time if I really wanted to, but I just haven't been in the mood to listen to music this month. I've just had other things that I've been wanting to do. So there is that, but yeah, I liked it. I don't know how often I'll re-listen to it. But that's really that. So there we are. You say you don't watch animated stuff in general. Now, see, that's where you and I differ. I watch animation forever. I mean, the thing about anime, in particular, Japanese animation, and probably the thing that annoys me the most about it, is the fact that they get their own word for it. You know what I mean? If it comes from England, it's animation. If it comes from America, it's animation. If it comes from Czechoslovakia, it's animation. If it comes from Russia, it's animation. If it comes from Germany, it's animation. If it comes from Australia, it's animation. But if it comes from Japan, it's anime. They get their own word for it, and I resent that a little bit. But yeah. You understand what mean by the British rasp? Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, I understand what mean by the British rasp. There isn't a shadow of a doubt. My throat is burning. I've been talking too much. I need some. Use code NattyBoy at any good corner shop to get a free can of Diet Coke. I don't know why code NattyBoy. This is not that channel. Speaking of which, I should probably get into the plans for next month. So I've got immediate plans. As soon as I've finished this live stream, I'm going to start on this painting. Because it's been bloody ages since I've done a painting. When was my last painting? I need to figure this out. When was my last painting? Come on, Facebook. Load Facebook. You bastard. Bastard Facebook. Come on. Come on. Come on. May. The 30th of May was the last time I did any painting, so it's been nearly a year. A few months on and it'd be a year. So that's... See, because I love painting, but it's just, it comes in bursts, you know what I mean? The British rasp of Slade, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Noddy. He was in, I don't know if you ever saw Phoenix Nights or any of the related programs, but the spin-off of Phoenix Nights, which was Max and Paddy's Road to Nowhere, Noddy Holder was actually in it. He played a mechanic, which was rather a funny role. And yeah, he's good in that as well. He's a good actor, as well as singer. But yeah, so that's that. Gaming channel. You'll know about this, Digby, because I posted a link. I don't know why I'm holding a toilet tube. I posted a link. I posted a link on Discord to a post on the gaming channel. Basically, I'm taking next month off because I've been doing so much stuff this month. I haven't had time to record any new videos. So even though videos have been going up on the gaming channel through January, I'd already recorded them all. But of course, I haven't been recording any, so I only have a couple of videos for next month, or what would be going up next month, but they're not, because I'm gonna take at least February off, maybe longer, before I start uploading again on the gaming channel, just because I've got other things going on that I want to focus on. So there's gonna be a pause in uploads on the gaming channel for at least a month, if not longer. But I will announce when I'm ready. You know, when I've decided when to start uploading again on the gaming channel, I will inform y'all about it. You never saw Phoenix Nights? It's a good show. It's a good one. If you ever get a chance to check it out. I mean, I have very little to say other than it's very good. You should watch that Peter Kay thing first, though. Because he did a series before Phoenix Nights. Peter Kay did a series called That Peter Kay Thing. Which, one of the episodes of that is the pilot episode of Phoenix Nights. You don't like Peter Kay. That will impede your enjoyment of Phoenix Nights, I feel. If you don't like Peter Kay. I don't know why you don't like Peter Kay. But fair enough. I mean, maybe you just haven't seen the right thing. I don't know. But anyway, if you ever do get a chance to check it out, give it a go, because you might like it. You might not. If you don't like Peter Kay. Because don't like could mean several things. Because I've heard people say that they don't like the Beatles, but it's because they've only heard I Want to Hold Your Hand and none of the other, songs. And it's like, oh, I don't like the Beatles, but they haven't heard any of it, you know what I mean? You have a weird sense of humour. Yeah, well, I mean, would you watch me if you didn't? But yeah, so have I got anything else to talk about? Yes, I have, actually. I forgot to mention this. The next book I'm going to read, the first, which will be later today, or tomorrow, technically, but only very shortly tomorrow, is this. Now, this is another one of these books that I had to add to the website myself, hence user added there. This is The Tale of Lundravar the Dragon by John A. Blakey. This is a children's book, which I had when I was a kid, and it's been at least 15 years since I never even read it. It was so long ago that my dad read this to me when I was like 7 or something, like 6, 7, or 8 years old. My dad read this to me. I loved it then. I haven't read it ever, like, with my own eyes, my dad read it to me. And it's been so long that it will be quite nice to read it again. Or to experience it again, I should say. Read it for the first time myself. But I just remember it being a very sort of kind of fairy tale type thing, but more sort of dark fairy tale kind of thing. You like the light switch stickers? Well, we'll discuss them in a moment. But kind of, I hadn't seen this film at the time, but the way I remember it from how my dad read it to me, it's sort of Jabberwocky-like, that kind of dark fairy tale type atmosphere. And obviously I want to make films at some point, and I reckon it could make a pretty good film. Particularly like an animated film in this art style. But yeah, so I had to add this to the website myself. I wrote this description. This is obviously just me copying it directly from the back of the book, but these are my fingers typed these words. So I had to add this. But yeah, so that's going to be the next book that I read. Um, but yeah, so light switch. I've got lots of sort of stuff here, but yeah, they were from Halloween a couple years ago, I think, and they were basically like a thing that we added to, like the packs of sweets, because people, you get your trick or treaters, and as part of their treat, they could get a sweet and a little sort of goodie bag, which had some sweets in it and had like little extra stuff, and we had some of those left over, and I just thought it'd be nice to stick them there. Got some Doctor Who cards. I don't think I've even shown some of this. Now I need to be careful what I show here, because I've got my passwords on the wall as well for like when I want to log into my, Gmail and Microsoft and everything. So I need to be careful not to show those passwords. But that's a drawing. That is a drawing of me and Tom Baker, done by one of my aunts. And then I've got my Duke of Edinburgh's award. I've got my bronze and my silver Duke of Edinburgh awards that I did, which is basically camping. I never went to the Scouts or anything like that, although my parents were in the Scouts. I mean, my parents met in the Scouts. But I didn't do that. I did the Duke of Edinburgh's award, which was, I mean, I don't know. I never, like I said, I never did the Scouts, so I can't compare them. But it was, Digby be like pointing out the most out of context thing in the background, the fan. Well, that's what fans are for. That's your purpose, is to look in the background and see what you can find. So that is that. Any other plans? I'm not sure. I don't think I have anything else planned. No. I think that'll have to be it. Well, I hope you've had a good January, Digby. You remember the fan? The fan, of course. Last summer, it was before last summer, because that fan broke and has, been not been in this house for a couple of years now. So it definitely wasn't last summer. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. I've got a better fan now. I've got one of these ones. I can't get it. I've got that kind of fan now. It's more high tech. It's more of a high tech fan that I've got now. That old fashioned fan has not been here for a few years. Because it literally just stopped working. It was like 1,000 years old, so it's, yeah. But this fan's better anyway. More high tech, futuristic. But yeah, I think that might be all. Should I get well, I can't be bothered going all the way downstairs into the cellar to get this chessboard. I'll show it to you at some point in the future. Because I worked very hard on it and completely custom made it, so I'm quite happy with it. But I can't be bothered going all the way down there just to get a chessboard to show you. So yeah, I think that's gonna be all for this time. So Digby, I hope you've had a good January. Happy New Year and all that jazz. And I'll see you in the future. Hopefully we can get together for some more live streams at some point. Obviously, it's all about whether my brother is on Steam or not. But we could. I mean, we were gonna play Minecraft at some point, weren't we? We need to arrange that because I don't know how to do multiplayer on Minecraft, but we'll have to arrange that at some point. Because that would be very nice. I hope you have a good February. And we'll chat later on. See you then. Have a good time Diggo. That's what I'm gonna call you from now on. Diggo. Diggo the DJ Diggo. Salut.